very strongly that we have to turn this country around. That the national debt we spoke about, that the overspending, these are things that I've been working to fight in Topeka and working to balance our budget there. And I'm going to work to do the same thing in Washington. And so, it's always a debate about, is someone a liberal, a moderate, a conservative, where are they? I can tell you first and foremost I'm a Kansan, and that I care about Lawrence and I care about this district, and I'm going to work very hard every day to stand up and fight for all of you. And I want to be accessible and open, and I want to come back next year to a student senate meeting and talk about what we're doing in Washington and talk about the changes we've made or the things that we haven't been able to get done and what we're trying to do to fix it. And so I look forward to just building a friendship and working hard to represent the citizens. And this is a diverse country. It's a diverse district. If I get elected, I've got to represent Democrats and independents and Republicans. And so we need leaders who can stand up but can also listen and work to solve problems. And that's the kind of congressman I'll be.
Yes, there is a study right now being commissioned by the Pentagon regarding Don't Ask, Don't Tell, and it should probably be done here in I think next couple of months or something. And it might get repealed in about the couple months between this session of Congress and the next. It may not. If that study comes through, they have a new policy regarding homosexuality in the military, and the President supports it, the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff supports it, and the Secretary of Defense supports it. Would you vote for that policy in the next
I'd certainly be open to considering it. It's an issue that I need to study. We've not been faced with a Don't Ask, Don't Tell policy in Kansas in the legislature. We did have an issue related to a constitutional amendment banning gay marriage in Kansas, if you remember that, and I actually opposed that amendment in the state legislature. So I'm certainly a very open-minded elected official, and I'm certainly someone who wants to listen to all sides on that. My biggest concern on that issue would be to make sure that militarily that we are doing everything we can to protect this country, because keeping our borders safe is the top priority of the country. And so I'm certainly open to discussing it and learning the pros and cons of it, and would be open to considering it.
Brad?
What are some of your top legislative priorities?
Well, number one priority for me is getting people back to work again. When you all get out of college, there have to be jobs there waiting for you. You're going to have a ton of student debt. That debt's going to start racking up interest, and I want to make sure that you as students have jobs and you're waiting out of college. And so my number one priority will be getting people back to work again. Another big priority will be the national debt and spending, getting the budgets reined in. I think that's critical. And I think we got to get our government back to basic policies. We've gotten expanded, and the federal government's expanded to trying to provide health care for every American, trying to provide services for everybody, and that's not the role of the federal government to just provide free services all around the country and all around the globe in some regards. And so I want to get our country focused back on creating jobs, or getting jobs created in the private sector, reducing spending, getting our budget in line, and keeping our country safe. We have a southern border we can't secure. We've got national security issues, and I think we've got to focus on those basic core constitutional issues that we expect our government to focus on.
You said a couple of times that one of your big goals is to help create jobs. In what way will you help create jobs?
Well, there are a number of things we can do in the federal government to help in that situation. The number one thing we can do is stop raising taxes and stop putting additional burdens on small business owners and people who create the jobs in this country. If we have an opportunity to decide in the end of this year, the Congress is going to decide whether to extend the current tax rates. And I really strongly believe we need to keep those tax rates in place where they are, that raising taxes at this moment would be one of the worst things we could do to small business owners all across the country. We've also got to create stability and quit changing all the rules that go on in this country. There's been tons of, right now what we need more than anything is stability and job creation. Every day in Congress they're thinking of new ways to create new federal agencies, to come up with new regulations to regulate these business owners. And so we've got to stop that as well. And I think we've got to help free up capital for these small businesses. I talk to bankers all the time and say, listen, we're a conservative bank. We've got a legacy of helping small business owners, helping them get their business off the ground. And we know this guy right here, we've worked with him, we know this gal, but the regulators are coming in and telling us we can't loan the money. Now we know there are problems up on Wall Street, we know that there are things that need to be fixed, but regulating community banks, putting a noose around our local conservative banks and telling them they can't loan is a real problem for these small business owners. And so that's something I think, those are some of the very things we could do to help get those guys and gals going.
All right, if there's any more questions, you can feel free to go out in the hallway and talk to Kevin, but let's thank him for coming, taking time out.
Thank you very much.